Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode of Failing Forward. This is Hip Hop Eddie, the voice of a generation. And now your host, KILLcRey.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Failing Forward podcast, brought to you by our ever so lovely sponsors over at Stay Illuminated. Go to Stay Illuminated right now. Type in Crappy Awesome at checkout to get free shipping, because it's pretty tight. Yo, so much to catch you guys up on, man. You haven't heard from us for a minute. This is what I can tell you is Platform Collection that hosts the Failing Forward podcast, soon to be hosting Failing Forward podcast, as well as my flagship show, Crappy Awesome, with my co-host Arash. We haven't been recording because we are in the midst of launching some brand new video content over at platformcollection.com, and it's taking up a lot of time. That plus us completely revamping like our business structure at Platform Collection, that's a bunch of boring stuff. It's a lot of paperwork, let's say. But since the last time I talked to you, oh man, so much has happened, and I'm bummed because I'm not really going to catch you guys up on that today. I've been sitting on this podcast for a minute because of some technical difficulties, but I had a chance to sit down with some experts in the music business, a journalist, a DJ and business owner, a rapper journalist, and a teacher. And actually that other journalist is a rapper as well. So I sat down with three really good people, and I call them friends now for sure. I didn't know 1019. I actually met him the day I recorded this episode, and we have this really cool roundtable with 1019. They're all going to introduce themselves. So, but it's my boy 1019, my boy Nate from SD Loves Hip Hop, and my boy Bernie. You know him as DJ Inform from tons of things, but he also owns a record store called Beatbox Records in San Diego. And we have this really dope conversation just about a lot of music stuff. We jumped around a lot. It was just a really dope conversation, and it was really cool to sit down with these three gentlemen. Definitely going to have them on the show again. They're all very knowledgeable. I suggest you guys follow them on Instagram. Their links will be on Platform Collection or over at KILLcRey.com is where you find this podcast most of the time. We're still working that out. There's a lot of loose ends that we're tying up right now. We're well into 2018, and to be quite honest with you, we just got some really dope opportunities that we had to jump on. And but we're back now. That I promise. A new Crappy Awesome episode is dropping next week with the homie Save Yourself, and another Failing Forward podcast drops on Monday. So we're back. On Monday, I promise Monday's episode, I'll catch you guys up with everything that's going on with me, as well as coming off my anti-anxiety medicine, which has been a trip, guys. I've been vocal about this in the past. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of medication that can help level you out, but some things have changed because I've come off the medication, and there are definitely some side effects. It's been rough, but your boy's hanging in there. I feel great now, but it's been quite a journey. In fact, as of yesterday, I started feeling normal again, and that's why I'm recording this intro. I'm literally just needed to record the intro. This podcast has been sitting here, and I've been collecting some pieces for it, and yeah, man, it's going down though. Thank you guys though for being patient. That's really dope of you guys. A lot of people asking for new Crappy Awesome episodes, and they are coming, and we're leveling up look for a really dope video component attached to Crappy Awesome coming up really soon. And I could tell you this. Look, I'll give you a little bit. Over at Platform Collection, there's going to be a food show. Yeah, that's about as much as I'm going to tell you about it. Food show. Some of the podcast hosts that you currently know are about to have video shows over at Platform Collection. Really original, really dope shows. But all that stuff, all these things I'm talking about, they take a lot of planning and time. So that's why we've scaled off Crappy Awesome for a little bit, but it's not going anywhere. Arash is launching a whole other business called Justified Hype that you guys got to check out. And I'm trying to help him with any of that. Yeah, lots of stuff, guys. But let's just jump right into this episode. I'll see you on Monday. It's all good. This will get you guys through the weekend. We'll hook back up on Monday and get the train rolling. And the last announcement, let me just throw this in really quick. I'm finally doing a vlog on YouTube. And I think I finally came up with a concept. I think I talked to you guys about this before. I just wanted a really dope original concept, at least in the way that it's edited and in a way that you guys will be able to take it in a consistent fashion. And I finally have done that. We started filming today, and the first episode should be out next week. So that's really dope. Follow me. Just search KILLcRey on YouTube. Right now, it's all my music videos, but it's about to turn into a full-blown YouTube page. And I think that's really dope, and I'm super excited about that. And, yeah, man. We'll catch up Monday. It's almost the weekend. Happy 420. And smoke one for your boy. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, here's the episode. Enjoy it again with my boy Nate, DJ Inform, and 1019. Here we go. All right, man. Let's just go around we'll just go around. Somebody jump in. You want to just say your name, what you do, describe yourself, however you feel.
Word. I'm Bernie. I go by DJ Inform. I own Beatbox Records in Barrio Logan on Logan Avenue. DJ, make beats.
In San Diego.
In San Diego.
San Diego.
Nate Whitsell, SD Loves Hip Hop, everywhere. I am a husband, father, and a teacher, educator, and just a lover of hip hop.
What grades?
9, 10 in one class, and then 11th in the other.
Right. And how long has SD Loves Hip Hop been around?
We've been around about 2 years almost.
Right. And it's sdloveshiphop.com.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. And next.
My name is Jay Smith, a.k.a. 1019. I'm a rapper. I'm a writer. I do on-air work for San Diego, NBC here in San Diego.
Yeah.
I rally around the outside, stay away from trouble. Cali on the south side, breaking out the huddle. Double down gambling, life is but a crapshoot. Stumbling, meandering, naughty-headed black dude. Tattooed girl, nice to meet you. Black boots and a sci-fi feature. She's a teacher, teaching first aid. I believe in things on first dates. It was over, alright, I'll see ya. I was out, good night Alicia.
Dude, okay, so I got you guys all together because one of the things I've been talking about on the show a lot is like trying to give like the most value to the people that listen. And a lot of the emails that we get like have to do with like, yo, it's super dope. Like because on Crappy Awesome presents this show, but on Crappy Awesome, it's very interview based on artists, and we try to get into their minds of art. Whereas with this show, what we really try to do is show people, like, give them more options than they may be doing as a young artist. If you're a young artist and you're listening, like I just talked to somebody today, right? Like Platform Collection, we're like in a place where we're like doing like major like expansion. So we're having to bring in new curators, new team members, right? For all different aspects. So I was talking to a young man today. I'm not going to say his name, but he called me and he wanted to see how he could get involved with everything, right? And one of the things that young artists will put a lot of weight on, right, is who they know, right? Because at the beginning, a lot of the times that it feels like a lot, right? Like if you're a young artist, you've never had something, major happening in your career yet. If you meet like an artist who is doing those things, you'll tend to bank a lot on that, right? Like I met him, I know him, and he said he could hook me up, all these different things, right? And one of the things that I had the artist do was I said, okay, explain to me today, if Platform Collection was to, because he's an artist, he wants to be an artist, but a curator as well, right? And one of the things we like to encourage the artists to do is, this, Nate, firsthand, 1019, this from interviewing people, the natural network that you build up through that, you could do a lot with that. And a lot of times when you meet somebody in a professional manner, it builds a stronger relationship later, rather than meeting somebody like at a show and going like, yo, here's my CD, and like, yo, and then that person going, yo, that's dope. And then you going home feeling as if that's my hookup, right? Where the reality is, everyone in this room has dealt with artists at a higher level at one point or another. And at times you guys have been in these situations where you're either tastemakers or booking shows or choosing who to interview or who to talk to, right? Those things are very powerful things to people who want to be in those positions or who would like to benefit from them. So what I'd like people to understand is like a proper way to go about those things. Like, what's a proper way to go? Like, yo, you DJ, like, yo, how can I get on something that you're working on? Or like, because we were all having this conversation off air to be completely transparent about people earning their spots, right, in this job. And whether or not, and that's something I really want to talk about, especially with the media guys. I know I'm super interested to hear from these guys whether or not you feel the media is like doing its job when it comes to hip hop, even on like an underground level or local level or indie level. We were just talking, Bernie was just talking about being covered by the New York Times and still having, nothing's ever perfect, right? And what's representative of you through a story or through whatever can sometimes be skewed, right? It's just an honest thing that can happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with I wasn't knocking the New York Times.
He was definitely not knocking you, New York Times.
Yeah, but it was right. A nice little blurb about my record store, and that was cool because they wrote up a bunch of stuff on my block. But I guess the point I was making earlier was as far as impact on day-to-day business or like on my life at all, it's on the other side of the country. So now to be fair, I did have 2 people come in about 6 months after that article came out from Poland, and they came into my shop and they were looking around and they're like, oh, you're famous. Like, right, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, we saw you in the New York Times. I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then they were like, oh yeah, we're not going to buy anything. We just thought it was cool to come in here.
To be there, right? Yeah, because nowadays you guys deal, we all deal with artists on various levels, whether you're being interviewed or you're interviewing or you're sitting with a promoter or your fame, the idea of fame is so powerful. But what it's defined by is usually very superficial things, if you think about it, right? Like they saw you on paper, famous. That's not a far reach from the majority of how people think. The majority of people think paper, TV, magazine, famous. Because in their world, in order for them to make that happen, it's a huge thing. It probably wouldn't happen, right? They'd have to do a bunch of stuff, or at least they think. And that's kind of some of the stuff I would like to clear up for people. Like how the moving parts behind running a business and the actual non-glamorous work that goes into a lot of these things, Like, Nate, what do you feel has been like one of the struggles dealing with an upstart blog? At one point, you guys were just starting, and I say you guys, but it's you.
Yeah, it's just me.
Right?
Yeah,
like, complete transparency. Yeah. This is you keeping up every aspect.
Yeah, everything.
What were some of the early challenges?
Other than, let's start with the fact that it's the community that gives me the ability to do that.
Sure.
You know, even like in this room,
Yeah.
there's a connection between each of us, and the reason I'm in this room is probably because of DJ Artistic, right? So it's all relationships that get me. So that all goes into it. But yeah, I think the hardest thing is the fact that I'm still at hundreds of followers or hundreds of like views a month. And I think I write well.
Yeah.
And, but I also know that it's going to be a slow organic climb because there's nothing flashy. There's nothing sexy about what I'm doing. I'm simply writing about music that moves me.
Yeah.
Because I believe it has the power to move others. And that's not sexy. That's not fame. That's simply like kind of a natural, healthy response to music, you know?
Right. Do you find that artists get that? Like when artists come to you, do they get like, what, this is why this would benefit me?
Of course, yeah. Artists do.
Yeah.
The readers kind of don't, which I'm trying to find my way in that way. But artists will always say like, oh, you actually understood that song. Or like, you know, Choosy, San Diego artist, he's like, I want you to write my bio. I want you to write my Wikipedia page because of your response to Fly Me to the Moon.
Right, because they feel like you get them.
Because I found the essence and I was able to translate it. They translate it through music and I'm able to put into words kind of what the music feels like. And their essence is now translatable to Joe Schmo on the street who just wants to read about it or know, and maybe that turns them on to it. So,
what are some of the things? Have you encountered, like a surprise from an artist in a negative way, where you were like, "Oh, I didn't think this was going to turn out this way"? Has that happened to you yet?
You know, it hasn't. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But I also will only write about like music and artists that
you really
like.
Right.
Because I never have to say anything negative, and I almost never have to worry about anything going sideways.
Yeah. What do you like 1019? What do you think about, like, because you get to deal with some publications that are major publications, right? They're considered major publications, but you also are very much part of a community that is like grassroots and indie. How do you find like the link between those two things? Like, what do you feel like the service you give when you're interviewing an artist is?
I think one of the things that, you know, I primarily cover rap music, hip hop, you know, so I think one of the things that I bring is, you know, an understanding of rap, you know, if nothing else, a passion for rap, you know, a love for rap music. So I think coming from that angle, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, you have outsiders that hear the music, you know, and they hear it, they see all the, I don't know, let's say, you know, all the negative aspects. And that's all that they want to highlight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's not to say there aren't negative aspects, but, you know, as connoisseurs, we understand it's a lot bigger than this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's beauty here, man. You know, these cats, you know, they touch on all sorts of things. You know what I mean? It's so big. So I think I bring that understanding to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not looking for, I don't know, just as an example, you know what I mean? If somebody has a song, man, it's about drug dealing, right? I'm not going to come at it from the perspective of you're a degenerate lawbreaker.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm going to come at it from the perspective of, tell me about this story, man. How does this story, how does this relate to
you as an artist?
Absolutely.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'd like to think that's what I bring to an interview, to an interaction, you know, with an artist on a local level, or even, you know, somebody bigger than that on a national level. You know what I mean? That's what I hope to bring. You know what I mean?
And that's one of those things. I liked having you as part of this conversation because you have like this understanding of occasionally dealing with artists that come into town, right?
Absolutely.
Right, and they may be on like a major touring schedule, or they've been doing this for a while. This is their career. And then, again, like I said, you're also connect to San Diego in general, and it's something that we are going to get to. A Platform Collection has, like, made a really big shift in covering a lot of... Oh, and here's the thing. This is something I'm going to want to hear your opinion about, too, because I will openly admit, Platform Collection, we went to L.A. first because the San Diego that I was in, Bernie and I have talked about this, the early years of San Diego hip-hop was so splintered, and there were so many different things that... It seemed like there were strongholds. There were very big strongholds, right? But we also knew ahead of time, like at some point, we have to get out of this. Like we have to. It's the point. The point is not to just hang out here, right? Like at some point, we all got to graduate. And so we decided to do that. And then coming back to San Diego, you know, we'd like to think we played at least some role in, even through the Cypher Effect, bringing the Cypher Effect down, doing stuff that artists started to see that maybe, because I feel like this, and I know, you know, we've talked about this a little bit with, you know, a couple of you in the room, that it seems like San Diego as a whole is starting to understand more of the business side of how this works, right? Like, it seems like it, and all of us have been there long enough to see it happen, right? We have a few people who've turned things into bigger businesses, right? Like people who've gone like, yeah, this isn't all I'm going to do. Right. You know, like Bernie, like when you decided to make that jump, because for you, it's like a natural thing. You're a record lover, you're a music lover, but that jump from I'm a DJ, I DJ at clubs, but now I'm going to open up a brick and mortar store.
Well, there was stages. Yeah. You know, it wasn't like one to the next, and it's kind of just a natural progression. I mean, kind of what Nate was saying earlier about just like organic growth. I think that's really important for, you know, for business anyways. So, you know, every step of the way, it's just been gradual. I mean, I just put some new shelves in the shop today. Yeah. You know, like it's like. And again, to be transparent, you have a very small team as well. Running an entire brick and mortar store. Shout out to Tim, Ill Poetic. Yeah, shout out to Tim. Works there a couple days a week. He's been with the shop since the beginning. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the jump, I mean, basically what happened was I was working a corporate job that I hated, and it was getting worse and worse every day to a point where, I mean, I just left at lunch one day and didn't go back. Like, I couldn't even like quit because I was just so fed up with them, you know, and it was just like such a shitty spot. And so when that happened, I mean, I had a kind of a plan. I have a good friend, Chris DeJean, who he runs Coffee Pot Records, which is like he just sells on eBay and Discogs, just sells online, but been doing it for years, kills it, and his record knowledge is, you know, he's one of the most knowledgeable people I know. Yeah. And so when I quit that job, I just went and worked for Chris for like 3 days or so, learned, you know, the mechanics of selling online, and then I was selling on eBay full time for like 2 years before the shop. You started the shop. Yeah. Yeah. And then the shop came around. I mean, I went to an art show from these guys at the church. You know, Ramel and shout out to Real J. Yep. And at the time there were some different guys around too. But I went to one of their shows and they had a room they weren't really using, and the dude was like, Mark. Shout out to Mark. He was like, hey, if you want to open a record store in here, you can, just like that, and just threw it out there. No rent for like 6 months. Wow. And, you know, it's just one of those things where, and like I thought about it for the night, you know, and then the next day I was like, well, I'm not going to get another opportunity like this. At the time I was paying $80 in storage unit fees a month. So I was like, well, I'll just empty my storage unit into this place and start selling stuff. And then I'm automatically saving $80 a month. Yeah. And if it doesn't work, you know, because the thing with like trying any kind of business or anything like that, if you do it gradual, you're not taking a huge risk, you know, it's you step by step. And then if you fail, I mean, worst thing possible is I just get another shitty corporate job. And do the whole shit over again because those jobs aren't sustainable for like a human being. This is what I find interesting about you though, man, is that you, like, I know, having talked to you, having friends who've done this, I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, it's knowing someone who runs a brick and mortar. There is a mindset behind that, right? Like, not everybody can maintain a building and open up. It is a mindset because there is a certain amount of repetition and patience, right? Which the reality is that's what it takes for every part of our job, right? It's just so on display with you because they have an open time, they have a closed time. Somebody has to show up. So you can't go in there and there's no records. There always has to be this consistency. But the thing that I find like interesting about you, dude, is not at no point did you go like, now that I'm doing this, I'm not a DJ anymore and I'm not going to produce anymore. And I'm like, you're right in the middle of like creating a new project right now. Yeah, well, I did. There was about a year. I mean, at the beginning, no, I was still DJing a lot, but there was about a year. We've been open for about 3.5 years, and there was about a year in the middle where, you know, I was still DJing from time to time, but I wasn't really producing much. I wasn't, you know, I was just trying to get the shop together, you know.
But did you give it up in your head? Were you like, I might not go back to that?
No, of course not.
Right.
Because I don't make music to make money.
Yeah.
Or like make a name. I make music because I like to.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not like a, you know, like quit one day thing.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's not for anybody else, like, you know, if it's not fun anymore. But the thing is I get into different things with music and it stays fun, you know.
Yeah.
And with records, it's always hearing something new every day.
But it's like I don't know if you see it this way. Definitely as an outsider looking in, like I see this with all you guys, is you guys found a way to like hack hip hop a little bit. Like you guys found a way to like keep having something feed into you when whatever the artistic side might not be feeding you today. You know what? I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go write an article. I'm going to go do it. When music's just not hitting, whatever it is, your other artistic sides, I feel like the healthiest artists I've seen, right? The people who seem the happiest seem to always find something to fill those like quiet times. And it continues like their progress, whether they're studying music, whether they're writing something, whether they're just being around, whether they're podcasting or they can't like get away from it. And we've always had a philosophy on Platform Collection. Like if your plan B is to not be in this industry, right? Like to not be in it at all, like you just want just a corporate, like that's your plan B. You should do that plan B, because plan A, right? Like if you're like, I'm an independent artist and some way I want to stay independent. And even if I go back, I'm just going back to like rethink this out, or I don't ever want a boss. Basically, I don't want a boss.
Yeah.
Again, it's cut from like a different cloth, because I now having done Platform Collection for the last 6-7 years, like you see there are people on our website that are no longer here anymore, like period, as far as like musically, artistically, at all.
Yeah.
At all. And they're very promising. So the talent wasn't equal to the commitment, right? And that's something we see a lot. We see that a lot. And unfortunately, we see it a lot in artists that get boosted to the top really quick, because there's something about perseverance that builds like your anchor heavier into whatever it is that you're doing, right? Because you get invested. Like, I kind of want to try this again. You know, like that last album didn't do well. I want to try it again. Yeah. I wrote that people weren't feeling that art. I want to explain myself. It never stops, you know? And I know now at this point, like I'm supremely confident that the artistic mind just works that way. You know, it's just a bunch of different forms of that same thing. It just doesn't really shut off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, you know, sometimes it's a bit of a moving target, at least, you know, personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, I remember having certain goals, man. And then, you know, sometimes I'd hit them. Sometimes, you know, I'd miss the target completely. But, you know, those times when I did hit the target, okay, well, now what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And once that started once I started to process the now what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I was like, oh man, it's in a lot of ways, it's an infinite sport.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, like just hypothetically speaking, you know, Bernie, you know, you could be like, you know, I want to open up a chain of stores. You know what I mean? Like
I'm good with one right now.
No, fair enough. Absolutely. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, in terms of maybe potential or goal setting, you know what I mean? I think like you're talking about the mindset, you know, if you have a certain mindset, it becomes this infinite thing. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I look at music.
You're never really going to master it.
Never, man. You know what I mean? I mean, even music, like I look at it and, you know, it's not, man, this isn't football. This isn't tennis. Your shoulder's not going to give out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Picasso was painting at 80. Yeah. You know, Miles Davis was playing his horn as an old man, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, there's the potential in some of these things, man. Is like, you know, if you have a certain mindset, man, it's a never ending game.
Yeah. Were there times for any of you, all of you guys kind of chime in on this, where hip hop hurt you enough to be like, man, I don't know.
Can I jump back real quick to Jay's last point? I think the difference is creating music like out of when it comes from like the soul, I feel like it comes out of who you are instead of creating music to try to define who you are.
Right.
You know?
Where you're more of a vessel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So if it's pouring out of you, I think you become that lifelong learner, that lifelong contributor. But if you're doing it to try to, whether it's anything, be cool, be the dopest, if it's just for those reasons to try to add to identity instead of out of identity, you can't sustain it.
Yeah.
You know?
And people can tell, too. Yeah. It's really obvious. And
to talk on that, though, Bernie, like, because, dude, honestly, I remember being, like, just that young cat at the shows and seeing, like, these cats that I was like, man, they're doing it. Like, it's either their venue or, like, they get to talk on the mic all night and, wow, they're doing... And the whole time in my mind, I'm sure at that time I constructed a huge story of what it takes to do that. Until you do it, and then you're like, whoa... this has less to do with, like, you could do the work. Everyone can do the work. Like, technically, you could do the work. You know, we've seen artists who are very competent. I know a lot of artists that are very competent. They crank out these things, but there isn't, like, a soul, if I could say that. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel, you don't feel the energy of it right away. And, you know, those artists normally, it's not necessarily an evolution over time. It's just a shift to what's the next popular thing, right? Yeah. And one of the things I was telling the young artists that I was talking to was that, because they were like, one of the things he said is like, yeah, man, you know, there's this huge youth movement happening and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, which is 100% happening. That doesn't last forever. That's, by the way, if you're not in on that already, you're not benefiting. You're not going to benefit. You're too late.
Yeah.
Like, the next phase, and it seems like this happening, one of the things I recently read was this really cool article, and I believe it was Pitchfork, because it was a rare thing that covered Evidence, right? His new album. And you guys know Evidence from Dilated Peoples. He's one of the strongholds of the underground. However, something happened. I watched him. I watched these videos. I watched all the videos that he put out, because I saw one and I started watching all of them. His overall attitude on the new generation, there's a shift that happened for sure. I've never heard Evidence go, yeah, I'm really curious and inspired by, you know, like all these cats, like all the Little Zans and all the, I'm like, whoa, Evan, what? But the fact that conversation is happening and people put so much weight on what an artist like Evidence says, the cultural shift, it's a sign of cultural shift, right? There's a cultural shift happening that people are starting to understand that, one, hip hop is growing up. We're still pretty young, right? How do we know that? Because we're finally realizing like our adulthood, and we're starting to figure out where do we place adult hip hop? Where does that happen? Because it seems like it's a youth thing, or there's an old school thing. But what about the middle, when you're probably living the most, like the biggest chunk of your life? Why in hip hop in the past was that when we needed you to shut up? When it's just the opposite, we need you to be the most loud because you're the most wise, you're the most active. This is when you've gone through all the kid, you know, mistakes and stuff. And instead what we do most of the time is, as a culture, we look to who's next. Because we're a who's next culture. Who's next, right? But I think it's going away. I can feel it from inside because, and credit to the young generation. Credit to them. Because they don't necessarily have those walls that we had, right? There might be a lot of confusion. There may be a lot of things to do, but I heard one of the dopest things. I think I was telling you, Nate. This kid told me, like, I asked him, like, you know, what do you see about, like, the generation before you? He was, like, 17, 18, right? And he's a student of the game. He knew as much as you can be at 17, 18. He's not digging. Yeah. He's clicking, but he's still doing the work, right? Because that's the only way he can do it. And he said the difference between the young generation, his generation and our generation, is that we killed our biggest rappers. And he's like, they don't want to do that. They're like, we don't want to do that. Like, or at least there's a generation that doesn't want to do that, right? Okay, we see the people that they're trying to push you down your throat. Who's Tekashi 6ix9ine, all these. It's you guys. You've seen that before. That's nothing we haven't seen before. we're not looking for longevity out of those artists. That's just the facts. The people that back them say that. You hear Complex all day talking about we love them, we cover them all the time.
Yeah, well,
do they deserve to be on a top 10 list? No, hell no. But then what are you covering them for? You know?
You got to remember though, like you put on the radio or any like pop music in general, who's their target demographic?
Absolutely.
It's not adults.
It is not adults.
It's young teenagers, 12 to 14 or you know, I forget the exact number, but it's kids, you know.
Should it be something different? Do you guys feel like it should be something different?
I mean, like to me as a 35-year-old, like I personally don't find a lot interesting with music that is geared towards little kids,
right.
You know?
Which would be weird if you did, right?
Well, and like, I don't want to be like the old hater, and I think in Evidence's mind when he's talking about that, because it always goes bad for older rappers who talk shit on younger rappers, no matter how god-awful they are.
Right, because of what you just said. They control the marketplace to an extent.
Well, right, yeah, and like Complex, I mean, when does Complex represent like hip-hop culture? Like, when do any
I don't
of these,
know,
like,
do they?
Does The Source now? Do
you want to say anything about that, Nate? I mean, you're a journalist, 1019, you're a journalist.
To be fair, I haven't read
something you don't want? I mean, we don't have anything to worry about. I don't care about Complex.
And it was just a question, too, because I haven't read Complex in years, but
I watch Complex. I don't read it anymore. You know, like I watch it.
But for mainstream music publications, like they have to write about the shit that sells, and the shit that sells is the shit that's put on the radio or whatever. And you know, I mean, to me personally, it's just not what I'm into.
Is there any correlation anymore to things that sell and quality?
Was there ever? It's all about the salesman. The salesman can sell anything.
Michael Jackson?
I think that's a really solid point, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I always, you know, sometimes I think back, you know, these conversations. I hear Cass talk about the '90s, like, you know, like it was this utopia. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I'm like, nah, you know, we had Gerardo, you know what I'm saying? It was Marky Mark. Like nobody was feeling them. You know what I mean? Like they were selling.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
And it was almost 100% fake.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But it wasn't much different than the stuff now. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the heads weren't. Nobody was bumping Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not in that sense, like, there's always been that fluff, you know what I mean? That the rap fluff, man, and it's always sold, and it's here, you know, today and gone tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But
it's the same people pushing that fluff.
It's the same people,
still.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the same people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I sometimes I think the nostalgia, you know. It's easy to get caught up in the nostalgia and the good old days. You know, the '90s were, you know, rap's pinnacle, but it's like. Nah, not really, man.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was with you for sure.
It felt very similar to like I remember bumping Brand Nubian, man, and there was nobody bumped Brand Nubian.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody was bumping Gerardo, Crisscross. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew Crisscross.
All of those groups from the '90s that we do have respect for, like, you know, Brand Nubian, Gangstar, Pete Rock, all those dudes had major label deals, so they got exposure.
That's true.
You know, so way more people got to hear them.
That's
you know,
true.
Versus now, like.
It doesn't exist. That major label deal doesn't exist for artists that aren't selling.
I mean, it does sometimes, you know.
But is Boogie selling?
Not yet. He's about to put the album out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he'll get a push.
But do you feel like his organic audience is already speaking for him? You know what I mean? Like, does he already have like ticket buying power? Like right now?
No.
So. Do you?
I mean, on a small level, but not on a major level.
Do we have examples, right, of artists who go through the major label system and end up like in a spot where it's all good, like hip hop retirement?
Well,
and it's all good.
Royce?
Do we know anyone? I mean, Royce. But here's the thing, dude. You know where I just saw fucking Royce, a video of Royce and Premiere at some party, and the camera turned around to the audience. And that did not look like a hip hop crowd. Like I was like, "Whoa, this is like." I mean, it was like.
Been the story with
but
hip-hop
that's what I'm saying, though.
That's
what I'm saying, though. I think that it's less us understanding the value in older artists, and more so this nostalgic. Because here's the thing that we found at Platform Collection that always survives. the youth at the beginning, if they're on the right path, and then the authentic article, right? The authentic article will never go away if they handle themselves correctly, which is like building with the younger audience. Like we use 2Mex as a perfect example, right? A dude who by all means should not be relevant anymore, should not be relevant, except that he never stopped looking for relevancy, which is what a lot of artists at some point stop doing, right? Because for good and bad. Sometimes they stop because they're like, I'm just going to make for me. But at the same time, though, the benefits to that is a big roll of the dice, right? Like whether or not you're going to cash in on that is not guaranteed. And we don't have a lot of examples. Like we can look at Prime and go like, what did they... Premier is by arguably one of the greatest producers to ever live on the planet. He cannot like go and sell out like the San Diego, sports arena. By himself, not by himself.
Yeah, because what's he gonna do? I've seen him DJ.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say one thing or another. Just I've seen him DJ.
Yeah.
Like what's he gonna do?
So is that his fault?
No, that's not his fault. But as a producer,
you gotta do more.
The beats that Premier made and makes are meant to be with a rapper.
Yeah.
You play them by themselves, they're loops.
Yeah.
Yes. But they're not meant to be more than that. They're a backdrop for the rapper, and together they make dope songs. And they're dope beats, not. Running on any of that, but like as a solo thing.
Does he have an argument then? Does he even have an argument? Like if he, and I'm not saying he does, I haven't actually heard him say
Premier wants to headline like a big
if
spot?
Premier's like, how come I'm Premier? How come I don't do anything? And Tekashi 6ix9ine has a fucking line around is that argument even worth having anymore in this point of hip hop? Because it seems very.
It sounds like sour grapes. Like why don't people like me? Like that.
But isn't that the only thing at the root of all these arguments, right? Whether, in fact, I just saw a really. And I'm saying it wasn't academics, by the way, because he never makes good points. I'm saying there was another guy. It's the new guy on Complex. I forgot who was. My bad. Wayno, and he's like a manager, right? And the stuff he was saying was very true. He was like, look, lyricists, like especially for lack of a better description, right? We all know what we're talking about. Lyricists who are heavy on their bars. The reality is that they're usually the loudest complaining about who's being covered, right? Mostly based off the amount of time that they put in their craft, and they feel like that should be equal to the payoff. But that's simply not how the business is set up. That's not the music business. It's never been.
Marketing is the music business. That's it.
But I also want to argue that I think that if you're strictly a lyricist and just dope, that's one kind of art to appreciate. But I think what we're all looking for on some level, even as a DJ, right? Like I imagine just from conversations, like your ability to connect with a crowd and you take the crowd's energy up and down and move it. Right.
In a perfect world,
So isn't that right?
Yeah.
So you want to spend music?
Human connection is what we're all looking for.
Right. Yeah.
Why are you looking at Fora's like feed under his videos, and this girl's like, I had a razor blade to my wrist and I put it down because this song.
He's got someone crying every day.
You know what I'm saying though?
You just go to his Twitter, and there's somebody crying.
Who is this person?
Fora. Do you know him?
From up in Anaheim.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, and you're a longtime hip hop fan, right? Yeah. Nate and I cover a lot of the youth coming up, right? So we keep our eyes on that. But I can tell you, like, Fora's a perfect example, right? Fora came from a school. He came out of this early, it's not early, maybe 2 or 3 years ago in LA underground hip hop. There was a youth movement that was based on 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
And it was happening a big time. Gavlin, Reverie, Self-Provoked. Even Curtis King came out of there. Mike Eagle was very, there was these people that found like this little boost when the youth discovered 90s like it was a new thing.
Yeah. Well, I saw Fora first time open up for J. Rue the Damage.
There you go. Yeah, that would never happen now. That would never happen. That dude's on tour with J. Cole. So something... When we're telling and speaking to the artists that are listening right now, right? There's an artist at home listening right now, and they're going, okay, well then, so what then? Because we have these conversations with the youth, and they feel like it is, even though we're just stating, like, here's the things we've learned in experience, these are the facts of the game, a lot of them still feel like you're shitting on the idea of making it. And what I would love to do is help redefine what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, again, I told that kid, like, logistically, for me as a business owner, if you're not investable, and I mean on many different ways, it's not enough for me to just give you money because your music is good. If I can't put you in a room and everybody in that room agrees, like, damn, that dude, there's something about that guy. I really like that guy. Really, that's it. I really like that guy. That's something else, though. You know what I mean? And I think artists feel like if I can just perfect my raps, I'm going to get all that stuff. And the sad truth of this is that some people are simply not born with that part. It's not there. It's not for everybody, because rapping
but if you work
can be
hard
for
enough,
everybody, right?
If you hustle and sell enough tickets, you can make it.
But that is, I mean, dude, we joke, but that is what is being sold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's marketing, because you can market terrible rappers, and people will buy the shit because the average regular person that's not really a part of the culture, they don't know what the fuck is good or not.
Right.
They know what is being told is good to them. You know, and that's why you put on the radio, and like to hip hop heads who like have listened to it for a long time, they hear these kids and it sounds like lazy or they're mumbling or whatever.
It sounds like the craft hasn't been worked on.
In my opinion, it's just a different kind of music, because when I hear music like that, it's not about the words, it's about the energy and it's about the spirit. And I see these kids like going nuts, you know, like they did a show.
We just saw it, right? We just had Noah James over at Hip Hop Wins, and you know, Noah James turns the fuck up. Like it's
that's what I'm saying.
It's simply about the energy.
And that
his
energy
show is
100%
dope. Energy,
dude. Yeah, but, and I mean, and that's really what music is too. You know, and props to the kids for that. You know, like, because that shit, you know, that's real,
right?
You know,
and so for me, this is like the encouraging thing for me, and this is what I tell like the heads, like. If that is like, if our worry is that this is somehow going to water this down, that worry, you can let that go. These things all evolve. They always evolve. Yeah, we're working this out. We're in a time right now where we're really trying to figure some things out in hip hop. We're working out, like, where do we belong?
Well, remember,
is there a family of hip hop?
Remember, you know? A lot of these guys, like, I remember, what's his name? Post Malone.
Yes.
Like, half these guys are like, I'm not a rapper.
Right.
They don't want to claim it because they know if they claim it, then they're held to the standards of
being a rapper.
Of hip hop. Yeah. Meanwhile, they're getting played on, you know, urban or hip hop radio or whatever, and they're getting all the like stuff that comes along with being in the, you know, being successful in that genre. But they don't even identify with that really. They want to be rock stars, or whatever, some idea of that, you know. So I mean, I just think it's different, you know, like the whole debate. I mean, you know, Nate, you're doing that Locksmith show coming up. It's a good little promo boost.
Yeah,
remind you.
Thank you much. Thank you.
A little bumper there.
Get your plugs in as much as you want, guys.
Check out in the notes and the podcast notes. It'll be down there.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel right now, if you had to tell a young artist where to start, right? And we're not talking, and we're assuming that
in the bedroom,
but
practice.
But let me do this. We're assuming that the conversation that you're having is because the artist is dope.
Yeah.
Right. So we're just going to assume that moving there forward. What is the thing you tell them? Like, if all they have is like a great record.
I got
What's the
something,
first
but
thing?
I've been talking a lot.
Yeah.
So.
No, go.
Okay.
I got nothing.
Okay.
That's a hard one.
Okay. Go to people's shows. Support.
That's a good one.
Support it. Just show face. You know, just go out, talk to people, stand out front and smoke weed with people. You know, like smoke, or whatever. You know, but just get to know people, and you know, don't be pushing shit in people's DMs or like get all up in someone's face or post on their Facebook, because that shit sucks.
Wait. I need you to unpack that a little bit, because I just watched, and I don't want to say that. I just watched an artist get like his ears just run through the gutter from this dude who's trying to like basically sell himself to an artist who himself is an independent artist and trying to work. But this dude, I watched it for like a good 30 minutes of like And you could see the artist being very professional. To his credit, was being, okay, yeah, I got you. No, but you need to call me, and we're gonna, dude, you don't understand what I got. He literally said that sentence. You don't understand what I got.
Yeah, that's corny.
Right.
That's super corny.
Okay. Do you guys want to unpack that and help some artists who may be thinking of doing that tonight?
You know what
Yeah.
I heard I was talking to somebody the other day, man, and what they said to me is, this is somebody that approached me about some stuff, and what they said, their angle was, I told them, I said, man, I really like your approach. I was like, your approach was just smooth, man. Your package was smooth. And what he said to me was, from our perspective, what we're trying to do is we want to build relationships. And that really got me, because I think building relationships is really, I think that's where it's at.
Yeah,
that is where it's at.
Having genuine relationships, like I have genuine relationships with these guys. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean,
but that comes from seeing people around.
Absolutely,
coming
and
out.
It's taken a while. Do you know what I mean? It's an organic thing. It's taken years in some sense. You know what I mean? A lot of ways. But it's just seeing Bernie walking down the street, stopping by a shop, just poking my head in. What's up, Bernie?
Yeah.
Keeping it moving.
Yeah.
Not asking for anything, not wanting anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big one.
See Nate,
that
same
is a
thing.
big one.
What's up, Nate? And that's it. You know what I mean? And not, hey, Nate, I got this new project, man. Can you write this up? Bernie, I got this new record, man. Can you put this in the store? Listen, man, this shit is fire. It's gonna
sell out, dog.
You know what I mean?
It's gonna sell out.
Which
you sleeping, Bernie? You sleeping?
Hey, I'll put whoever's stuff in the store. Anyone local comes through with their stuff, and I don't even do consignment. I'll just buy a couple.
Yeah.
But if they don't tell anyone to come get it, which I know they're not going to, because anyone they talk to, they're just going to sell it to them themselves.
Yeah.
Of course, because for me personally, if I'm buying something local, I'm buying it from the artist because I want to support.
That's super valuable, dude.
And so putting something in a store and then you don't promote it, you don't tell anyone, you don't even post that it's in the store, that's just never gonna sell. Unless I really fuck with you and someone comes through and I'm like, yo, check this out.
Okay,
which I'm not gonna do that unless I really fuck with you.
But before we segue, I got my reminders. Relationships, everything. I think I heard about Parker and the Number Man when Urban Underground used to be at the Kava Lounge, and it was just a thing in the back of my head when you guys were playing at the Casbah a lot at the time.
Nice.
Urban Underground.
It was just
speaking of the sound of tickets.
What's up, Mike and Gigi? But just three things if you are going to go in the DMs, because I will argue my Gary V here.
Sure.
Jump in the DMs, but offer value before you ask for anything. He's a big.
What does that mean? What is it?
That
means
unpack
that for somebody.
You've got to have something to add to the artist that you're stepping to or the person that you're stepping to. Gary V talks about it being he just wants 49% of the relationship.
Yeah.
He'll give away 51% because that 49 is going to pay off.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so give more than you're going to get from the person. That's the first thing. Second thing, shoot. I had my fingers up to try to remember. So give more than you're going to get, but also all my students who think they're going to be rappers, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are talented. Don't get me wrong. I make them read another plug here, but I make them read Justin Ivey's article interviewing Slug of Atmosphere, because Slug talks about sleeping on couches legit in friends' houses.
Yeah.
So his overhead could stay low.
Absolutely.
He could afford touring or making music
all day. By the way, people listening, that happens all day.
So that's one roadmap, right? Is the hungry super minimalist hustle.
Yeah.
The other person I always point them to is go study everything you can about Odyssey, who's making 6 figures.
Yeah.
Doing what he loves, and chances are no young artist coming to me and asking me questions has any idea who Odyssey is.
Right.
And go follow his roadmap in your own way.
Right.
Because dude is helping run Mellow Music.
Right.
Which is one of the most successful underground labels, arguably.
Yeah.
And most respected.
Right.
He is doing what he loves. He's sending money back to family in Africa to help with freaking family surgeries.
Yeah.
Doing what he loves. I mean, dude travels to different places, has his whole production studio in his backpack, has the same routine in any city he goes, and is able to produce music and make, no matter where he is, doing what he loves.
So it sounds like a lot of the stuff that we're touching on, it comes back to this thing that I know the youth, I know you guys hate hearing this part. The patience part is is such a huge thing, right? Because we've seen artists burn out.
It's crucial, man.
Yeah.
It's crucial. like that's so much a part of it. You know what I mean? Is patience.
Yeah.
And patience, man. I think for most, that shit is hard.
It's hard as fuck. I remember, you guys remember being that young person and someone telling you patience. It was almost like them telling you, like, fuck you. Like, you're not dope. But it has nothing to do with that.
No.
Right. Because it takes time to build relationships. It takes time to show up to shows and do all those things.
And think about it in other aspects of anything. It takes, not to get too out there with it, but it takes 9 months for a child to be to be able to come out. It takes 9 months.
And you're trying to plan your whole life.
You know what I'm saying? And I think so much of how things are set up at the moment, man, it's like now. Mm-hmm. We all want the instant payout now. We want the cash return now. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, if you listen to some investors, they're always like, man, get some CDs, get some stocks and bonds, some slow averaging stuff, man, that'll pay out when you're old. Absolutely. And it's almost like, we want
if you trust them.
And that's a whole different, that's a whole different thing. But I think a lot of what some of the people that I run into, man, what they're kind of looking for, man, is like, oh, you're looking to hit the lottery. You want it now, and you want to be lucky. And man, it's gonna take some grind. It's gonna take failures. You're gonna fall flat on your ass, man. People are gonna tell you no. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of people feel like they've seen examples of the opposite of that, and I try to tell people all the time
because they have. I mean, but so much. I mean,
is it really though?
But that's not.
Let's be honest.
I don't think that's the reality. I think that's what's like. You're talking about marketing. That's what's marketed. That's what you see.
Right.
You see American Idol.
But those kids
get a golden
sleeping
ticket
on sofas too. They're doing all. They're not getting paid.
They are.
They're doing a lot of shit.
But it looks like it's overnight.
Very polished.
It looks like it's overnight. You know what I mean? It looks like it happened from one day to the next.
Arguably one of the biggest examples of that, right? People were like, "Oh, dude, his mix." I remember when the mixtapes were dropping, right? Oh, the mixtapes are killing it. And then we find out after he gets signed, there was already multi-millions of dollars invested in the mixtapes to make it seem very organic. Yeah. And that part is the part that it's very hard to swallow for someone starting off because they're like, but he was from the bottom and now he's here. Like, what the fuck? How did that? You're telling me that he already had $1 million? Yeah.
It's the marketing, just like you're talking about, man. It's the marketing.
Because Drake was marketed as a lyrical dude. And like when you put him up against other guys who are like, way more lyrical, it's kind of like, but those guys don't get the exposure, so nobody knows.
Yeah. What do you guys feel about? I've been hearing this phrase a lot. Playability. Have you guys become familiar with that?
Okay,
I've been hearing tons of media people dropping that word. Well, there's no playability to this record.
Okay, well, that's if you're looking at playability from a very narrow. I mean, because to me, like.
There's a time for everything.
Yeah, like I turn on the radio and I have a really hard time listening to it.
Sure.
But there's something else that, maybe like a lot of people might not think about, but from the 60s until now, the way music was recorded, sonically, it's changed a lot.
Absolutely.
So like 60s, 70s, like the highs aren't as high, the lows aren't as low. It's like that mid-range sound. And now, especially the music that's on the radio, it's processed so much and the frequencies are so different that if that's the only kind of music you hear, you have a really hard time processing other stuff.
Sure.
Like if you put on a jazz record, it's like, and I've seen this happen before, and it's like you almost, like if your ears aren't tuned to it, then you can't even hear it.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy thing because a lot of people are only hearing what's on the radio and this and that, and they're getting really focused or, set up on this one sound. And so like going anything out of that, it's like, they can't hear it.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with what J. Cole did with his last record, mastering-wise? Did you guys hear about this?
No.
So, like the modern-day mastering, what that means is to get your record final for radio, for large speakers, for any speaker, really. It should be able to be played. The last version of whatever you record should be able to be played in all those things, right? And that's kind of what mastering is. Mm-hmm. Mastering has changed over the years. Mastering has become significantly louder. And what that means is that the levels are crushed, right? So whereas in jazz music, a jazz record, you want to hear certain instruments lower than the others. It's the point.
More dynamic.
Right, exactly. There's more dynamic range, where now it's pushed to the highest level to try to get it to the loudest, which just obviously will degrade the sound, right? It's not how it actually sounds. Mm-hmm. So what J. Cole did this year was he didn't do that last part. He went from mix to slight master, which would just to get the levels on all the songs the same, and then put it out. That's why that record sounds like that. And to get to what Bernie was saying, statistically, it showed that it hurt it. Because people's complaints were like, oh, it doesn't sound as good, because that's the easiest way to define.
And that's the only thing I tuned into.
Yeah. So that actually is happening.
Yeah.
And
but that sucks too, because musically, or like frequency wise, I'm sure it sounded way better.
It absolutely
would have otherwise.
It absolutely
but people
did.
Don't.
It sounded great on vinyl, CD, digital. It sounded the same. Whereas with records that are normally mastered, they're pushed beyond the normal limits. So, because you want it to be loud.
Yeah.
You want, because even I've thought about mastering. I do mastering. I've thought about mastering from the psychological point of view, what they've done to people by doing that is
serotonin on.
Absolutely. Serotonin is on high all day. When you're listening to a record, you're no longer just listening to a record. There are literally scientific things happening. Yeah. And they thought of these before they even started mixing the record. They're mixing to sonically pierce past your walls. Yeah. Right? So it's an interesting thing. And I don't know if that's defeatable. It's starting to get to a point where if pop music is simply what the masses are fed to the most and consume the most, right? Because I'm not going to say they like it the most. I know that's a scale that can be argued. They're being fed this the most, though, right? You see an industry that's going to, at some point, go, nah, we don't want to do that anymore. It doesn't seem like that's what the industry's ever going to say. Yeah. Unless the kids just go hey, we're into really... the lo-fi. Lo-fi comes up every few months, right? Every few months, hey, it's the new lo-fi movement. And inevitably, people at radio stations can't play it. Yeah. So it doesn't actually get that push,
But is that... Can they not play it because of the fidelity of the sound?
Right.
Or because they're being dictated playlists by their corporate overlords?
Think both, right? You know some stuff.
I mean, I don't want to...
You sure?
I don't want to shit where I eat, right.
But radio has rules.
Absolutely. All that stuff comes into play. You know what I mean? All that stuff comes into play, and I think all those things have always been in play. There's always been popular music. There's always going to be popular music. You know what I mean? And then like you said, there's this I don't want to use underground, but
sure.
There's this lo-fi movement, man, that just, it doesn't die. I mean, tapes are back in vogue.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And I mean, they were supposed, that was dead whenever, but I don't know why, but it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So there's these pockets, man, and I think depending on where you want to go or where artists want to go, you can hit those little, you can hit the avenues. You know what I mean?
It's a big point, and I think it's a big learning lesson for a lot of young artists to know that the niche can pay.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's a scary thing for a lot of people, because a lot of the times
business too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, you do this long enough, you know that's really all that pays. Yeah. Are the niche things, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you try to appeal to everybody. You water your shit down so much that
you're done.
Yeah, there's no soul left in it, and nobody, it's not anything. But if you're true to yourself and your personality, and you're, put the soul into whatever you're doing, be it music or anything, that shows through. People can tell you're genuine, and what you care about it.
What do you guys see? And I know it's varied on use from within the room. I know Nate, you're definitely a guy who likes to study what's going on in social media and the different trends and stuff. What do you see right now that you feels like a healthy way people are using social media? Have you guys had any examples of where you're like, yo, that's pretty dope? That doesn't seem like the normal superficial look at me thing.
It is a bitch about Trump, but
well, I want to touch back on the niches real quick, because I like to break this down for my students. And honestly, for underground, to use that term again, but underground, rappers in San Diego even, if you can build, which you can, a base of real fans, 1,000 of them, and if you could put out $100 worth of material that somebody would want to pay and should want to pay $100 in 1 year,
right? You can live off of it.
That's $100,000. That's more than I make as a 10-year-in teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, that is so doable with the reach that you have now.
Right.
So,
what do you think stops people?
Honestly, not having a 10-year plan. Not like looking. You should be looking 10 years from now making that.
There's a 16-year-old who just had a heart attack right now.
But think about that.
Hearing that shit.
But think about
6 years old is
that.
still young, too.
Yeah, but I mean, not to a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're like, you're ready for retirement.
But think about it. Like, in the corporate world, like, when can you assume you're going to make $100,000 10 years in climbing that ladder?
Yeah.
You gotta
aggressively
put the years in,
right? I mean,
probably stab some people in the back too.
Yeah, right. Climbing on people.
Yeah.
And so, like, why not do it honestly for 10 years? When you're 16, who gives a crap? You're like, you're at home. Your parents are paying your bills. You got food in the fridge.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
You should go all in.
Yes.
Yeah, right. You got plenty of times to fall.
So build slowly and real relationships and dwell in your niche.
Yeah.
Like, exist there.
One of the things I love sharing with people, especially young artists who are starting out, is there is something. It's like with anything, right, that the media places in front of us. By the time it is placed in front of us, it has been packaged.
100%.
You're not getting anything that's just unfiltered ever. So if you see something popular and you're like, this is the movement, and you're like, okay, I want to start doing that. It's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Yep.
If you're seeing it, you will not benefit from it because the wave has already started. You may catch like the last part of it, or you may jump in, but it's way better to go all in on you just being whatever it is that you are.
Yeah.
And hoping that is what catches on. You know?
Yeah, because I think what people respond to the most, I mean, it's not a sound, it's not anything, it's a feeling, you know, it's what's, you can feel what's genuine, you know, what comes from a real place. And like, you know, there's a lot of like hangers on and stuff like that. Something will get popular and then everyone else will try to flood to it. But I think that's what kills stuff more than anything because it's not genuine. Right. You know, it's just all, you know, waters it down. And you get the major labels, you know, this has been something with hip hop where they, you know, everything that's like good, they try to co-opt and make it into like their thing, you know, try to package it and sell it. Go ahead, Nick.
We all shed a tear when we found out there were millions of dollars put into rockets. Right? I mean, we all, one tear came down.
Rupert Murdoch's son, right? Yeah, that's wild.
So, I mean,
I never knew that back then, of course.
Right? I mean, and so, like, you think of the most,
you wonder if any of it, anything we've ever seen has not had that some sort of injection.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much smoke and mirrors. It's like, it's the music industry, pretty much. Yeah.
So again, preparing someone to enter that, it is way more. And I think everybody's really like hit it on the nail on the head. Is the actual complexities of whatever you define as making it, regardless of how small that is. If you want to place it into an industry platform, it's way more complex than you just. Being dope.
I think a lot of people make money in the industry, just not the artists. Everybody else makes money.
Or like their last place, right? Like when it comes to making money, right? Even the biggest artists. I mean, you look at like who's like one of the most Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty has a Target commercial. Trust me, Target's making more money than Lil Yachty.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like how much money is he making for his other? Yeah, exactly.
Right. At every level, somebody's making more than you.
Yeah. And that's the problem with these major label deals too, is because your worth is you're only worth as much as you can generate for them. And it's such a small percentage, you know, like what, like 50, even like 25%, like. Man. Like,
I think they said the year before last there were no like legitimate gold records for hip hop. There wasn't one. There were singles and there were big songs, but the album itself in a year's time, no album in 1 year's time went gold. And that's crazy because I remember being in hip hop when it was like platinum plaques everywhere. Everybody's got platinum plaques. And now just to make gold is like a big deal. Like making a gold single is more realistic.
Well,
that's more popular
because they count streams.
Right.
Which seems weird. I mean, I get it because people aren't buying new stuff like they used to, so you gotta like figure out a way to judge how popular your shit is.
And you're obviously taking an even smaller cut, right?
But they pay for the streams.
Right.
The major they have to because if Drake drops a new song and only 2,000 people check it out, it's a big fucking fail for all of them. Then they lose millions. So,
and they're not willing to risk that.
It has to, as part of the marketing.
You know, the Spotify playlist is the biggest thing going right now. You guys have heard this, right? It's the biggest thing going.
Absolutely.
they're making the most money on Spotify, it's not the artists, it's the playlist owners.
Well, they want the curation, yeah.
So that alone is already cutting down. If you thought artists had a smaller chunk of the big thing before, it's even smaller now.
Spotify paid dog shit anyways.
Yeah,
it was like it was such a pit, and
then now YouTube barely even pays anymore. Yeah. So the industry is infiltrating into all the tools that you could use, right, to independently grow your brand, because they know that that's their competition.
And that, I think that's always the industry's motive. You know what I mean? Sure. They're always out to make the most money. You know what I mean? And
because that is their business.
That's what they do. Yeah. You know, and I think the artist's job is, as best you can, is to stay one step ahead of the industry. You know what I mean? Or find your niche.
Or say fuck them and do your own thing. Because there's examples throughout the whole history of recorded music of people that went their own way.
Absolutely.
You know, like look at someone like Blowfly.
Yeah.
Like, Clarence Reed, who was a very successful. For those that don't know, he was a very successful, very talented producer, songwriter in the 60s, 70s in Florida, and wrote a lot of Betty Wright's hits. Wrote a lot of Lattimore, like a lot of the big soul people coming out. He was writing their stuff, and then in the mid-70s, he put on a sequined cape and grew his fingernails super long and started telling the audience to spit on him and writing songs that were like, he would take funk songs but then change the lyrics. So to be like, so he had a song, Nobody But You, Babe. Big Clarence Reed song, one of his hits. For Blowfly, he changed it for Nobody's But Yours, Babe. And then the hook of the song was like, I'm sticking this tongue. Nobody's but yours. Which is dope because that's fucking awesome. But
and he made a career.
Well, hell yeah, he made a career, but to do that too, he had to make his own record label.
Yeah.
Because none of the labels would fuck with him. So he made his own record. Into his 80s, he was touring as Clarence Reed, and he would do like these little supper clubs for the older crew. And then you go play places like Soda Bar, which for people outside of San Diego, it's just like a regular little like dive bar with shows. It's a cool little spot or whatever. But you go play at spots like that, for younger crowds, and be like the craziest old man ever, But he did his own way. Look at like Egyptian Lover. Like it's his own label. That's all his own releases. He did everything, and he's still on point. Because he kept control of all that shit. He wasn't reliant on someone else to do anything for him. Absolutely. And so for someone like that, it doesn't have to end because you decide when it ends. And if people are still buying your shit, people are still booking you, then that's when you dictate your career. I think when a lot of people fuck up is when, you want people to do stuff for you. You want a label to like do this and that or whatever. And it's like, they're only going to do that when it makes them money. And the second that it stops, then they drop you and they find someone else.
And I find like...
So fuck them.
Most of the time, it feels like when you are an artist and you have like this deep desire to get a bunch of people to do stuff for you. For me, as someone who invests in artists, that's not investable. That's like my first sign to know, like I said, I was talking to this kid and I was like, logistically, do you have the team? Like if I was to just give you money, what happens to that? What do you do with that? And like the idea coming from him was like, well, I'll create a vibe and we'll do dope shows. And I'm like, that is what we would like you to do. How? Yeah. Where's that going to happen? Because money's not going to necessarily solve that all the way around. It definitely can help you. But if you're going to build a career and you think that all you're going to do is like, I just need to stand next to Bernie, and then whoever Bernie hooks up with, those are my hookups.
I mean, that might help you a little bit. Sure. Stand next to me because I am very influential.
Right.
I try.
People might be like,
New York Times.
That's right. NYT.
They're like, is that Brad Pitt or Bernie? I don't know.
It's Bernie.
Yeah. It's Bernie, baby.
Thanks, yo.
What do you guys really love in hip-hop right now? Whether it's an artist, whether it's a song, whether it's a movement that you're seeing, what's something that you're like, I'm a fan of this right now, like big?
I like making shit.
Yeah.
Personally, for as far as like new hip-hop, so there's stuff that I hear that I like, but I mean, for me, hip hop a long time ago, through sampling and whatever, it took me from listening to hip hop to listening to soul and jazz and psychedelic rock and like this whole other world of music. And I still appreciate hip hop, and hip hop is what led me to all that stuff. But all that, like, I get much more excited right now about new soul releases or like new jazz groups or just finding old stuff too, because I'm digging constantly, you know, for older stuff. So like, I don't know. I got a lot of love for hip hop, but like I got a lot of love for lots of music.
What do you think, Nate? What is something?
I mean, there's just so much. I mean,
try to pull one out that maybe people wouldn't expect.
Well, I honestly, like, my favorite rapper for the past, like, 2 years has been Boogie.
Yes.
I don't mean to just ride that wave, but, like, I mean, 3 years ago I saw him at a show, talked to him a little bit, just been talking to his engineer and trying to, like, just get feel their essence, and then to see him get signed to Interscope. 2 years later, you know, he comes out after Eminem does the Donald Trump piece. Right. And they had the Cypher, you know, like to see him on that, and then to see him rock live in LA, and then bring on Kemba, this kid Kemba, you gotta be listening to. Ooh, really? He signed to Red Bull, but dude's ill. And just that, like, there's something about a young man who can take the very real stories of being in Compton. I'm teaching in Compton for 2 years, like connecting me to that city in a way where I just have mad love for it.
And you can tell
to hear those stories. You know what I mean? Like to hear those stories, and he does something that he translates those stories in a way that anyone can connect with. And his producers, Kiel and Dart, like these guys, they're sampling, but they're also using some of the sounds from the new music, and like they're able to bridge that gap. To me, there's something so powerful to translate multi-generational and multicultural and experiential. That's not even a word, but like, right? I mean, to me, there's power in, again, human connection that breaks down some of these walls. And that's not even my subgenre of hip hop. Right. But I'm so excited to tell people about it because it moves me. You know? So, wow. Like, he has done something to me that made me feel alive. You know what I mean?
Man, I thought you said I did something to you.
You do too.
Okay. What about you, 1019?
You know what? I'm really, I think I really dig. Rap is real big right now, so I think I really enjoy it, man. As much as it seems fragmented, and it is, I enjoy that there's a lane for older artists. I enjoy that there's a lane for young cats. You know. And I'm looking at it like, yo, this is wild. You got a couple different generations, and it's all going. You know, that Jay-Z record was hitting last week. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit was hitting. I don't know if we've ever had in the history of rap, you know, somebody Jay-Z's age hitting. Do you know what I'm saying? Usually they kind of fade into the background. You know what I'm saying? But that record was out there with I don't even know, but you know, maybe, I don't know, Lil Yachty. You know what I'm saying? Like that they're competing.
The fact that they can exist at the same time.
They're existing in the same space, man. I really enjoy that because that feels like new ground, new territory that I haven't experienced in rap ever.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So I dig that aspect of it, man. Right now, the most.
Because there wasn't really the older generation.
Never, man.
Because everybody was young.
Absolutely.
Yeah, again, it's been super interesting to watch hip hop become an adult, you know, and it is really dope too to see, because this is like when I would hear like, it's a young man's game, right? And then I would have like friends that are like in their 30s, and I'm like, they seem to be out there still. Like, you guys forget that.
Absolutely.
Like, that's kind of when you start to like discover exactly who you are. You finally start to get it down a little bit.
You settle into your shit.
And to me, that's the time of life that's my favorite for people that make music in all genres. I love that time, right? When you come to a point where you're like, youth is not, like, that's not what I'm speaking to anymore. I went through that because youth is a struggle. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's our biggest growing period, right? But once you start to develop philosophies and you can back them up now and you can talk about them, that's, to me, the most interesting music, even if there's no words on it. Even if it's coming from a producer, because you can hear what they've learned, right? Where I think, for the most part, you know, I have like people in my own, like Rick and Kali are very traditional, come from a very traditional background, and we're always, if we're on tour or we're doing whatever, we're always like having those debates, right? Like, you know, what matters, what's going on, and having people that are come from a traditional minds starting to see like, okay, that just really doesn't even have anything to do with me. Mm-hmm. Like, it literally doesn't have anything to do with you. Yeah. Like, I've always said that. Like, somebody said the other day, the dude was 30, and he was like, I've never even heard a Tekashi 6ix9ine record. That's probably good, because it'd be weird. It'd be kind of weird if you're just buying 16-year-old records. Yeah. What is he saying to you as a 30 that you even have an issue with?
Yeah.
Because at 16, I was pretty much retarded. At
16,
I was doing what... I think
we all were. That's what being 16 is, right?
I think it's super dope to be able to watch it now. Yeah. Like, oh, wow, I wonder how that's going to turn out.
Is that kid on the radio, or is he just on
He's not
YouTube?
even on the radio, actually,
no,
really. He's all YouTube,
yeah, he's just an internet
phenomenon.
phenomenon.
Yeah, he's, they were talking about, like, this new... And this is something I'd like to hear your guys' opinions on this. Lists that media put out. Right? Top 10s, XL, freshmen. Do they hold weight anymore? Do any of those things hold weight?
Not to me.
Yeah. But I'm saying...
like, I don't give a shit about that.
Okay, hold on. Let me rephrase it. Be an industry guy right now. Talk from an industry standpoint of observing the industry. Does it seem like it matters anymore?
Well, I'll say this. I know it matters from the standpoint of... having editors and having bosses and having, you know, producers and stuff that want certain things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know sometimes there's on the flip side, you know, people receive those things like, another list. What are these lists? What are these lists? What are these lists? But on the other end, that's what gets the views. That's what attracts, you know, people. It's a numbers game. Sure. You know what I'm saying? It's a numbers game, and those things get numbers. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, you have to it's, you know, it's like a lot of places, man. You know, you have a supervisor, you know what I mean? You want to continue to do what it is you're doing. You do whatever, not whatever, but you provide the things that your supervisor is asking for.
Yeah.
So I think it's Pavlovian.
Yeah.
Right? Because the culture, and I don't mean hip-hop culture, but I mean pop culture, right, is ready for that each year. They start drooling, and then the records start dropping.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've created a machine that gets you ready for them.
Yeah.
Okay, I see who they are. They're on the radio in a month or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this summer, they all blow up because then that reminds me of that summer.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it made me feel so good. The serotonin high. Right?
Right.
The list came out again.
Right.
I'm ready. And they've created a machine so that people are buying the records. I mean, that's all it is. It's marketing.
Hey, how much do you guys think it costs to be an XXL freshman of the year?
Like when it's...
Because, well, I mean, that's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if we're thinking about, like, how these labels are, like, promoting and how these artists are funneled through to the point where they're top 10 freshmen, of course, Nate, you're right, it's a machine, you know, none of that shit's by accident, and none of those people are there on a fluke or just because they can rap kind of good.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. And so, what's the number? I mean, like, how much does that cost?
I mean, I gotta think that
your soul.
Well,
I mean, in some ways, but that's a whole nother show.
It's not the artist footing the bill, though.
No, totally.
You know, and it's an investment for people. You know, like they're trying to make that money on that. So,
I mean, you guys know like the going rate for what's the why am I going blank? People are fighting, they put their phone out and they yell.
World Star?
Right.
Clearly World Star, of course.
I mean, you know, that's $1 million.
Is it?
Yeah, you can get $1 million to occupy a space on World Star for a month. But it's been shown to pay off. It's pretty good investment. And then you have a record that fits within that genre.
Yeah.
They're just putting you in front of everybody that reads that for like a month. Huh. And so if that's that, so XXL.
Yeah, it's got to be more.
I think it's got, I mean, I think we're in the millions for sure.
And it depends on their perceived relevance.
Yeah.
Which
and their reach and everything.
Yeah.
Their views and clicks and all that stuff.
Because, I mean...
do you have a number in your mind, you think?
No, I have no idea. Because, I mean, you know, the industry works on crazy numbers sometimes.
It's crazy
You know,
numbers.
it's like people getting paid like $50,000 to do these fucking club appearances where they don't even do shit. They sit in VIP. Like, who knows, because it's all hype and smoke and mirrors shit,
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
And people will go to see some fucking cornball who hasn't put shit out for 20 years sit in VIP and pay $40 to get in and pay $30 for drinks or whatever.
Near them.
And that's kind of a problem with those people too, because like, fuck that.
I mean,
man.
ultimately,
We've all been in that situation. We all know how whack that shit is.
Ultimately,
I think
that's
terrible.
That's what we're talking about, right? Like, ultimately, and this isn't something that we could do on this show. However, but all these things are really attached to people's desires and what they're putting in that place of desire now, right? Because if you're a kid and you're starting off and you're like, I'm watching, these fill in the blank little whoever or celebrity X and they're just out there taking countless selfies and doing all these things, and that seems like an option for me. It feels like I could do that job. That doesn't take much. I don't have to read books. I don't have to do math, allegedly, right? This is all the things they normally think.
That sounds like a lot of work to me, though.
I'm saying if you're a kid and you're born, kids within the last 10 to 15 years were born with a phone in their hand. So it's not, there is no stretch for them to use it. It's simply an appendage.
Right.
So if they know, like, I'm on it all the time and all I have to do is X, Y, Z, and I think it's important that artists know that part that, look, XXL, you're looking at $1 million a pop for everybody on that thing. So when you're putting up an Instagram video and spitting a hot 16 and then tagging it XXL freshman, let me get that. Dude, you're not even being seen. You're not even being seen. Let's be honest. If you have 100 likes, you're not being seen. Yep. It's not being seen to the world. But to me, if you want this as a career, that time is your opportunity to build something that is so investable, because you don't have all eyes on you. You can polish, you can restructure, you can do all these things. And that, to me, is always the downfall when somebody gets to whatever they feel is the highest levels and they're not ready for that. Because it gets exposed. Let's be honest. All the internet has done is exposed us. That's all it does. It's not lying. It's telling the truth. That is exactly what's going on. You might be filtered and you may have painted yourself into a wall, as most people have done on Facebook, right? You don't see too many people you disagree with on your Facebook for a reason. It's an algorithm. That there's literally something happening for that to not happen to you. Facebook knows you don't like X, Y, and Z. They don't put it in front of you.
Well, and you saw the shit about them experimenting with people's moods.
Absolutely.
By showing you what posts. I mean, Facebook's on some other shit. Especially the recent stuff with, them being hacked and then keep, whatever.
I mean, literally every issue that Facebook dealt with this year was stemming from buying advertising, which anyone can do. All of you can buy advertising right now for super cheap on Facebook. It is the cheapest.
But does anyone have any real confirmation that people actually see that shit? Because they could say whatever the hell they want.
Say whatever they want.
But even again, looking at again going back to Gary V, I don't want to be super on his jock, but I mean,
shout out to Gary V.
Yeah, and
I like Gary V.
He and the people who kind of are in that camp, they're seeing great yields from it,
right?
Because he's looking to invest in advertising that's the cheapest for the most reward, right? And he and John Lee Dumas on Entrepreneur EO5 or whatever, right? They're seeing results.
I can give you guys some insight on that. We're currently running ads for Noah's tour. We're sponsoring his tour through advertising and marketing, right? It works. He called me today and he's like, yo, because we hit, we've been trying to experiment on smaller cities like Cathedral City. They were in Cathedral City, right? Which is in the middle of nowhere and not a whole lot goes on there. We just hit it hard with Instagram marketing all day because you can specify it all the way down to within miles radius to people who like specific hip-hop.
From 16 to 35.
And we did it, and it absolutely works. Lisa, who's Noah's partner, was like, yo, because I asked her, can you ask people, hey, how'd you hear about this? And everybody was like, yo, we saw it on Instagram, or, it came through the platform collection feed or whatever. And so I know it works. Dude, you know what that costs for Cathedral City? $15.
Nice.
Costs $15. So
Yeah.
if you can get that part down, it's a learning curve. Trust me. It took us a year to be able to spend $15 and get that. Just a year of going at it, studying, but it's possible. I know it's possible. So
does that go back into the niche thing? Were you casting a wide net before, and then you're like, let's zone in to this very specific targeted market?
Absolutely. It was just a process of elimination for us. First we would throw out a net like hip hop fans, but nowadays that means totally different things that we thought. That was like us going like, oh, hip hop, everybody. They were just like, what are these artists you have on Platform Collection? That's hip hop. I didn't know that was hip hop because they're into other stuff. So we had to get very specific. I'll market right after a specific artist because I know like that artist, people who like that artist would be open to this, and that helps us experiment. And it also, the way we like to think of it, it helps us sneak like our artists in front of people who may not have normally been open to it, or not known the existence. Totally. Simply by using the power of the algorithm. Because that algorithm's not ours. We just learn how to use it, but they provide it. So I do know that works. So if that works, going back to like the youth, like a kid just heard that right now. Oh shit, $15. Like, oh shit, I have $40. I get $40 for, every Friday. I could kill it. Yes, you could kill it. Right. You could absolutely kill it. But what will happen undoubtedly, if we had done that for Noah's tour and Noah's tour sucked, we would have just brought a bunch of eyes to something that is not ready, and you don't get those people back. You got one shot at them. So that $15 might sound like a little, but you better realize how it's being used and what you're actually buying. You're buying their time. Attention, That's all you're doing. And if you can't fill that time with something that they can walk away from, and luckily, I mean, Noah's not a hard sell, right? If you've seen Noah perform, it's like church. You come out of there and you're sweating and you're like, holy fuck, I love hip hop. But we knew that he was an artist and plus Noah can bar out, but he's not doing that right now. He's making music about energy. That's all he's doing. He's repetitive hooks, big beats, but I know where it comes from. You know what I mean? Like he's making, that's the authentic Noah. You talk to Noah, all he talks about is being positive. And so I knew it was going to be an easy thing. What we're really interested in is a more traditional artist and see if that works. Because what we might find out is that same $15 only does a fraction to somebody who can't relate to that music at all. So we'll find out. Dude, do you guys feel, and we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon, do you guys feel like right now, well, let me ask you this first, because we started off talking about like 90s hip hop and whether or not that was the best time in music. For you personally, what has been the best time? Is it now? I mean, do you feel like right now is like, are you having the most fun doing what you do right now?
I am.
I
am. And the reasons why is because I feel like now I know what I'm doing. Like it's taken so long, but now I feel like I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I know, like you were talking about, I know who I am. I know what I like. I know what I enjoy. I know what I don't like. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. I know what I can do. You know what I mean? I know who I can do it with. I know where my community is. I know where my support is, as opposed to trying to figure all that stuff out. And I didn't know it would take this long, but
I don't think any of us did.
But
the Rolodex is nice now.
Absolutely, what I mean. And having all those things in place, and it's taken a while, but for me, this is the best time I've ever had.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. What about you, Nate?
I think I'm in the same boat. I just turned 38, and I every year has gotten better. So like as a husband, I'm better. As a father, I'm better. As a teacher, I'm better. And I enjoy teaching more than I ever have after 10 years. Like, and there have been some like literal goosebump moments at shows like different at BattleBot and at, over at Hip Hop House at the AC Lounge or whatever. Like there have been moments where I literally get goosebumps still.
That's how you know it's still working.
So and so like nothing's changed. The same feeling I got when I listened to Gaining One's something definition with CeeLo and Common. Like that song changed me. Like I remember, I literally, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Damn, man, you pulled you put it out the crate,
right? But that song was an altering song, and like some moments
and
lately
still
in local hip hop has done that. Even like Leave It All Behind, Rick Scales and Ralph Quasar.
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
there are
Amazing
some
record,
moments
yeah.
when the songs change in that album or that EP. Like I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps when Odessa Kane's playing his new music out his car speakers at 3 a.m. after BattleBot. And
Bernie's
almost,
like, what the fuck?
almost.
I wonder which ones he played.
But like literally, almost being able to like cry. Like I cry listening to hip hop still.
Yeah,
I'll be at home 3 a.m. Like I gotta get up at 5 for work. 3 a.m, writing an article, listening to next week's artist or whatever that I'm gonna interview.
Yeah.
And like literally like weeping because the music hits me so hard. Like I feel alive right
That's
now.
dope.
And so every
That's
year
super,
gets better.
Yeah. What about you, Bernie?
Yeah, I mean,
you're nearing another. For people who don't know, you're in the lab right now creating a record.
Yeah. With
Odessa Kane?
the aforementioned Odessa,
Yeah.
who's apparently playing our shit all over town.
Hey, I didn't say what he was playing either.
Yeah, no.
Don't worry, Bernie's playing
Am I gonna
everything
get
for
in
me.
trouble? Yeah, now I'm like,
This
dude.
motherfucker. But to be honest, when we were talking earlier, and I like kind of stepped back for a little bit because I was busy with the shop. I mean, what had happened, what I got back into creating stuff was I had given Odessa a bunch of beats a couple years prior, and he just hit me up one day like, "Yo, I just found all these beats. Let's get to work." I was like, "Oh, all right." And then I started listening to beats. I was like, "Man, I can make some better shit than this."
Yeah.
And so then that got me back into it, like working on shit heavily. So now I'm working on stuff pretty much every day. We're recording once a week. But I mean, what's most exciting for me now, I'd say, is that I'm just expanding what I do more.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to just sample, and no knock on sampling, because I love sampling, and some of my favorite producers, it's
But
such
artistically, you've grown.
Well, with this album, I started playing a lot more synths. I grew up playing piano, but I stopped for a long time. I basically quit playing piano when I started DJing when I was 16. And then I got a synth about maybe 8 years ago. Still didn't use it very much. Like I had it when I put out the album with Cause a couple years ago, but I didn't use that synth on anything.
Yeah.
It was all samples. And now with Odessa's album, I'm just way more into just like building whole songs. So there's some joints that have no samples in them. A lot of songs that there's a sample, but it's really obscured and that I played a lot more over it.
Yeah.
We have a song with Nick Costa from Surefire Soul Ensemble where he's playing guitar. I got my homegirl Serena to sing on a song the other day. So, building.
It feels like you're diving way more in on like as a producer.
Yeah, and it just comes from wanting a bigger sound, like wanting a bigger thing, wanting more control. Because, sampling, just like taking a sample, looping it and throwing drums on it, like after you've been doing that for 10, 15 years, it gets old, you know? You want to do more, and really with synths, I just started like playing bass lines, and I was like, oh, well, I gotta add a little piano here, and this could use a little blah, 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 and then before you know it, it's just like loaded up with stuff.
I mean, it sounds definitely, for the stuff that I've gotten to hear from you and Odessa, I'm calling, I said it on a Copy Awesome episode, I think it's gonna be one of the albums of the year, and from what I'm hearing, it's dope and it's refreshing to hear artists who have done the work. You know what I mean? Like when you hear a record, there's something there. No matter what you say, they could be saying the simplest things, but when it's so polished and that they know themselves, like that's a big part of it. Yeah, it's not like you throwing beats to Odessa and you kind of know him, and we just make something. Like this is like an organic creation, and it's dope. Here it is. You sound like you're having the most fun you've had in a while.
I am, like, because at this point in my life, thankfully, I don't have any bosses, I don't have anyone like talking shit. Like I can do basically, granted now, like whatever I do, usually now I've got to do little extras. Like if I want to go somewhere, I got to get someone to cover the shop. I got to pay them. I got to find someone to watch my dog, pay them. Like I got to do stuff. But because of the shop, it supports, doing that. And so it's like I'm tied to the shop, but it gives me more freedom at the same time. Yeah.
Do any of you guys feel like you're like you have a job right now?
I'm
like in the most
working
sense?
constantly, but I'm there's nothing I'd rather be doing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a job because I've worked lots of jobs. I've worked at probably 5 different pizza spots and corporate shit and sales and sold fucking knives door to door. And I've worked at a donut shop. I've worked at so many
that's
shitty
hip-hop, people.
spots, over the years.
Suck it up. That's hip-hop.
Yeah.
That's the reality of hip-hop.
And every day without having to deal with a shitty boss or being somewhere at a certain time or wear some shitty clothes that you don't want to wear or fucking smile at someone you don't want to smile at. Every day not doing that is a victory.
Yeah.
That's and so I feel really fortunate to be where I am now.
In itself.
And with Odessa, my thing, so we were talking about this for a while about how we're gonna do this. Are we gonna shop at the labels? Are we gonna do and we had talked about this before. Absolutely. And it's man, what's a label if it's not another fucking boss? Because they're gonna put up money for something. Their priority is going to be getting that money back.
Right.
I mean, I've done some little deals here or there with little indie labels over the years, not anything huge or whatever. But I've never seen a cent from any of these labels, And it's because they put up all this money and then they need to recoup it, and they don't recoup it because they don't promote it enough.
Right.
And so it's not a winning thing,
Yeah, it's not the end all anymore.
Yeah.
Go search that out.
If you don't mind me asking, did you, Bernie, did you produce any of the 3 songs that Odessa played on Tim Pyle's show? On 91X the other night.
I actually missed that show.
He was on loudspeaker.
Yeah, no, I know he was on the show with Prayers too.
Yeah.
They archived it, right? So
I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely on my list of things to check out. Because big respect to Prayers too, man. I mean,
they kill it.
Well, yeah, and it's seeing anyone make it from this town. It's it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of...
Especially when you've seen them around doing the work.
Yeah, well, and those are dudes that put the work in and they earned it, and I got a lot of respect for anybody that does that. It's, it's just obvious to see them. I don't know them super well, met both of those dudes.
And they're working with Save Yourself now too. Did you know that?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. They both moved to LA and then they ended up linking up again, and he just signed to their label, an indie label. Okay, real quick before we're out of here, tell people how they can link up with you guys or how they can reach out to you if that's an option. You know what I mean? And let us know what's coming up for you guys for the rest of the year, what we can expect.
You catch me I'm on IG. It's 1019 _ the numberman. On Twitter at numberman 1019. What's coming up the rest of the year? I'm gonna be writing. You catch me on San Diego.
Yeah.
Comes on Saturdays after SNL. So you catch me on there interviewing cats.
That's TV.
Yeah. You can catch. Musically, I'm probably just gonna keep pushing this project that I got out right now. So doing some shows and stuff, so catch me out here at 1019.
Yo, man, don't throw it out like it's just a little project. It is a critically acclaimed project. I keep picking up fucking papers and hearing how it's critically acclaimed project.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man. So keep pushing that. Solace to Paris Days. So check for all those things. Check for me those places. Indeed.
Yeah. Nate?
SD Loves Hip Hop everywhere. SDLovesHipHop.com is probably the base.
Yes.
Throwing this Locksmith show with Jay Lately. Quincy White just got signed to it, and I think he's doing some stuff. I think Sway signed him or something. That's just some background noise.
Wow.
I don't even know.
Sway signs people?
I don't know. I think
everyone signs somebody now.
Well, I think Sway has a label on that he's at least investing in. So Quincy White, and then Leon the God, and then from the town it's Odessa Kanan and Felt One. Is Rick Scales, Ralph Quasar, 18 Scales, and then it's also Mickey Vale. It's a birthday, happy birthday, Mickey.
Shout out to Mickey Vale. Shout out to all those people.
Yeah, that's on April 26th. It's a Thursday night at the Marrow. Please come through.
San Diego, if you're in the San Diego or Southern California area, please come out for that.
Yeah, so that's huge, because if that sustains itself, we can keep doing stuff like that. And then I want as many people as possible to reach out to me and come work with my students in my classroom.
Dope.
I just had a visual artist.
Put that out there. That's
I just had a visual artist come through. She teaches at City College at Berkeley. Jay Bramman. Jenny. She taught my students how to turned their narratives into visual narratives. They did 6 panels with charcoal.
Wow.
And some of the work that came out, I'm goosebumps again right now. My students are able to communicate in a way that they haven't been given a voice, and it's like, or given tools to use their voice, because they have a voice. And so they have a new language they can speak in. And so, like, I want, people coming through. Real J has come through.
Dope.
He worked with my middle schoolers last year.
And they can just hit you up, like, on Instagram.
Yeah,
like, if they're, like, an artist in LA or somebody that would love to come and talk to your students.
SC Loves Hip Hop Anywhere, reach out. At Gmail, whatever.
That's amazing, dude.
I would love it.
Bernie?
Cool. So,
tell them about the store first.
Catch me at the shop.
Yep.
Beatbox Records, 2146 Logan Avenue. It's right by Chicano Park.
San Diego.
Yep. This is like just south of downtown. I'm there 3 or 4 days a week usually. My other guy, Ill Poetic, is there Wednesdays and Thursdays. I'm there every other day, except closed Mondays. But I'm there. We've been doing a night called Seance.
Yeah.
3rd Sunday of the month at Kava Lounge with Ill Poetic, Ill Atmospherics, really dope live group from Ohio originally, but they're out of LA right now. A lot of guest musicians from like Surefire Soul Ensemble, from a lot of good groups around town.
And it's basically what it is. It's a live band atmosphere where they'll have guest MCs and guest artists come through.
Yes,
right? In a very organic way. It feels like very organic.
With so the main MCs to come through are Odessa and Rick.
Yeah.
And they've been the two, most consistently coming through. But other folks come through too as well. It's kind of an open thing, but it's also a highly skilled thing. Mm-hmm. Not as like oh, you're not good enough, but like everyone's shredding at that. Yeah. So
I would suggest that you go watch it first. To any artist, go watch it, take it in, and then.
But if you're dope, you're dope. And like we had a dude come up one time. Nobody knew this guy. He's like, "Oh, let me get the mic. And Tim Ilfetic, he's like, okay, he gave him the mic. And dude was dope. He was singing and rapping and doing all this shit.
That's awesome.
And then after he got off the mic, he's like, yo, let me get on the drums. And Carlos, who's the drummer, is a fucking beast.
Yeah.
And like, you don't really want to fuck with Carlos because that dude is sick with it. And this dude got on and murdered it on the drums.
That's awesome.
And, so it's like, if you got that confidence and like, people up there, because Carlos could tell, he's like, okay, this he's not just blowing smoke. Like, he wouldn't be doing that. He's been seeing me play all night. Like, he can hold it down. All right, sure. It's an open thing. I look at it like an industry night for musicians. That's pretty much, because it's just chill. Like we get down. So we do that 3rd Sundays at Kava Lounge, no cover. And we also, a different group of music. Oh, and I'm just on the turntable just scratching.
Dope.
And then I do a different night, 1st Sunday at Kava Lounge, which is a different group of musicians. Odessa and Rick still roll through usually. More on the Latin Chicano vibes.
Dope.
Really dope. That one's led by Paul Lopez.
And that's on what days of the month?
1st Sunday at Kava Lounge.
And by the way, if you guys are listening to this...
every other Sunday.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, or wherever you find podcasts or streaming music, go to platformcollection.com right now. We'll make sure we have all these people's links so you guys can just click them and go right over there. Especially if you're listening on iTunes, go over to platformcollection.com.
Well, you guys are overlapping with Hip Hop Weds coming up soon, right? Next month?
Yeah. So Seance will be featured on that. And I think in general, because a lot of people, like you mentioned Kali earlier, a lot of people have come through the Sunday night and they see how dope it is. But the thing is that it's still kind of a fresh thing. We've done probably like 5 or 6 of them. And so it's, as we all know, San Diego might be a little sleepy sometimes. Like you can't just hit people with a dope show and expect them to come. You got to hit them with like 30 dope shows, and then they'll slowly start to filter in. Like, oh, I can't believe I didn't know about this. As San Diego can do.
This is how we do out here.
Yeah,
we take some convincing.
Big time.
We really like to be at home.
Like, oh wow, this is really good.
Yeah. Sorry, people. San Diego's really nice. There's a lot of shit to do. Guys, thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope you guys can all come back. Absolutely. It'd be amazing to have you guys come back on. I hope I kind of feel like you guys are going to be like my go-to when I get like some big topics coming on, because I feel like this is a really good mix of experience and just like the work ethic in the room is off the charts. I know what you guys do. I respect everything you guys do. I'm looking forward to an amazing record from Bernie and Odessa, 1019. It's super dope. This is the first time I got to meet you. In fact, I got to tell you this.
Nice to meet you, man.
I got to tell you this. One of the things I had heard about you forever, right? Like, and I used to go downtown to what was it, Ole Madrid, and then right next to it, and even in Ole Madrid, and then right next to it there was I forget the name of the spot. I think you named it earlier, actually. You said something about a spot where he used to play at. But anyways, you were the first guy. You, Parker, a couple other people were the first people that I saw like in downtown San Diego that occasionally would pop up at a club or like at a, and I was at the time getting into hip hop. I was like, wow, how do you even do that? Like, cause I didn't see it. Cause at the time there wasn't a lot of hip hop down there, right? But you guys were able to get into this pocket and into this promotion area that wasn't being touched by a lot of hip hop. And I don't know if you know this. I've talked to Parker about this. I feel, as someone who's studied San Diego hip hop forever, you guys helped a lot. You guys helped by kicking down that door, because now it's more of a common thing, right? But we needed somebody to get in there. We needed somebody to show like this can be done, right? I feel like if you guys don't do what you do back when you guys were first starting out, then we don't have a seance right now. We don't have like a hip hop lens right now. And and it's one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on the show, because I've been hearing about it forever. So much respect.
I appreciate it. That's dope, man. You know what I mean? That's dope.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate it so much, man.
Thank you, all you guys. Guys, this is Failing Forward. Make sure you guys go check out our sponsors over at Stay Illuminated, stayilluminated.com right now. Type in Crappy Awesome at checkout and you get free shipping anywhere in the known multiverse. It's from what they're telling me. So let them prove it, order from Mars or something. I don't know. Crappy Awesome at checkout. Guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time. Failing Forward.
Yeah, what's up?
Thank you.
This concludes this week's episode of Failing Forward. Yeah, bish.